Okay, today we are going to talk about the setup phrase. Now, for many people, the setup phrase is the big block. They just simply are not comfortable deciding what to say or how to say it. So I want to spend a little time talking about this. Now, the art of delivery, which is really how well you as a practitioner do, is often determined by the quality of the setup phrase. Anybody can do EFT. Anybody can set up and say, um, here's the problem. I deeply and completely accept myself. And that will work much of the time. So the good news is you can do it without ever learning the art of delivery. But if you really want to be good at this, you need to learn how to use your setup phrase to your advantage. The quality of the setup phrase is critical to the speed as well at which you can work, and also the depth of your results. And how you use the setup phrase is going to have a huge impact on your success as a practitioner. Okay. Now, when we talk about tearing down the writing on the walls that's contributing to the ailment, what we're talking about is actually something that Gary Craig put forward in his videos, where he talks about the writing on the walls of our minds. And he says that each one of us over the course of our lifetime has been imprinted with writing, that as we're moving through our lives, we're constantly coming up against these images, these words that people have said to us, these traumas, ideas, beliefs that are imprinted on the walls of our mind. So as we're walking through this life's journey, we walk in and goes, oh, don't go here, or if you do this, you're going to be teased, or if you do this, you're going to be harmed. Whatever the writing is on our walls that we believe about ourselves or about our lives or about our opportunities that is blocking us from being successful is what we're referring to here. So what you want to do is use EFT to collapse that writing. First, of course, you have to identify it, but once you identify the writing, then you go into the process of collapsing it. So when you use EFT, it gives you this great opportunity to take the writing that's on someone's walls and change the way they perceive it. And in so doing, it gives you opportunities for shifting the paradigm of how they actually perceive their entire life. It can also bring about much faster results if you can get to the core issue quickly, which we'll be talking about the core issue and how to get to it in a future session. So when you're looking at the setup phrase, the first thing you have to ask is there even psychological reversal? Because if you don't have psychological reversal, you might not need it at all. So maybe you'll need the setup phrase for your first round or even the second round, but you find that they're going down, and then you just keep tapping on your reminder phrase, and you don't even need to reestablish a setup phrase until you get to zero on that issue. So how do you know? Well, you know whether or not they're going down in their numbers. Um, in their suds, I mean. So the thing here too is that the setup phrase, as you get better at this, can be multi-layered, and it can also include many aspects of the same issue. So even though I have this problem and it makes me feel this way, I deeply and completely accept myself. So there's a number of different ways that you can link various phrases in a single setup phrase to move it through. Now, sometimes you'll find that when you're doing this, it's too much, you leap too far, they can't go with you, and your ability to collapse the issue goes down, in which case you need to go back to a single aspect of the issue and collapse that and then go to the next one. So that's just a matter of listening and paying attention to what's happening. Now, the other thing that you can do with your setup phrase is you can invoke the absurd or the exaggerated. And this is used to help assist in paradigm shifts. Now, the point of this is, let me see if I can give you an example. Um, so even though I'm so poor that they're definitely, that I don't even deserve to live anymore. I mean, obviously, that's an absurd statement. Now, for some people, they're at the point where that's actually become true, but most people are not at the place where it's true. So you would say it in a very exaggerated way. So even though I'm so poor that I don't even deserve to live, somebody should just shoot me now. I deeply and completely accept myself. So as you take it to the extreme, take it to the absurd or the exaggerated, they naturally sort of pull back and cancel that absurdity in their own mind. And what it does is imagine it's a pendulum swinging. You've taken it all the way to the extreme. They take it to the other extreme by canceling out, and it helps to bring you sort of back to the middle. So, now the thing that's really important is that when you're working on your setup phrase, there is no right or wrong. You can't get it wrong. But a lot of times, as a practitioner, the person sitting across from you has not told you the whole story. They certainly have, they have not um, told the truth, and or if not, not that they haven't told you the truth, but they haven't told you the whole truth. They're ashamed, they're embarrassed, they're not going near it. And so you now have to guess um, whether or not uh, you're on the right topic. You really have no way of knowing. So you simply just make up a setup phrase and see what happens. So what'll happen is you will create the setup phrase and you'll say, okay, even though blah blah blah, and they'll come back and they'll go, oh, that's not it, it's this, and then so they then tell you what it is, or they'll say that's definitely not it. And then you have to gauge, okay, is it because you're too close that they don't want you to touch it? Um, and so they're diverting you, or is it actually the case? And you'll know when you're paying attention. Are they backing up an intense reaction, or are they actually, um, guiding you in another direction that makes sense? So just give yourself permission to guess, and then allow them to sort of channel you in to where you're going. So, the key here, I think, is to just listen to your intuition and let your intuition and your skills guide you. Pay attention with every sense that you've got. Are they swallowing when they say it? Are they breathing heavily? Are they tense? Are they relaxed? Those indicators are going to guide you as to which direction to go. But the most important thing is that you can't get it wrong. So go ahead and experiment. So finding the perfect setup, doing that really is just a matter of asking questions and listening. Ask the questions and then listen. Listen for the throwaways. Listen for what they're really telling you, and then play with that. Um, and they'll give you their answer. And oftentimes the easiest thing to do is just take the exact words that they've given you and create a setup phrase with that. That's the easiest thing, often very effective. And what it does is it overrides your filter by using their exact words. So, again, here's what I was just saying. Listen to what they're saying and observe them with every sense at your disposal. What are their facial expressions, their expressions, their hand movements? How are they breathing? How's their voice sounding? And that's going to give you a lot of clues as to whether or not you're on the right track. The other thing that's probably most important is that they will dismiss the underlying problem as if it couldn't be this, or they throw it away at the end of a sentence. Oh yeah, and the blah blah blah, and then you go, oh, well, it's the throwaway. I'm telling you, the throwaways are your greatest clues. So after a while, you go, "Oh, I'm pretty sure they just tossed that in," and the toss-ins or the throwaways. That's the thing that is often the thing that is the issue. So you have to remember here that for some reason, usually about self-protection, um, they have repressed this underlying reason, but they know it. They know what it is, unconsciously. They know what it is. So when you start talking to them, just listen for what they tell you, and they'll often just spill it out right in front of you. You can also try to tease it out of them. So take what they give you, um, and begin to use leading questions. You can use conjunctions or any sort of leading question to keep them moving. So if you wanted to use conjunctions, for instance, somebody would say, I just can't relate to my husband anymore. And you would say, and? And they would say, he's really getting me down. And you could say, because? And then they would say something like, I don't love him anymore. And you can, by leading those correlations out of them. What you're really trying to do is get to a core issue here. So I can't relate to my husband's, yeah. So, well, he's getting me down, okay? And well, I just don't love him anymore. Okay, so now you have a core issue that they didn't want to address up front. So she didn't stand up and say from the beginning, I don't love my husband anymore. She said, I can't relate to him. And then you dig in a little bit by encouraging the correlations, and they give you the information. And then you go ahead and create your setup phrase around it. So, for instance, you would say, even though I don't love my husband anymore, and that makes me sad, I deeply and completely accept myself. And that's, by using those conjunctions to tease it out of them, you then have the information that you need to make the correlation to create the setup phrase. Um, Now, often time frames are very good to use as well because sometimes clients really believe that the issue has been addressed. They have worked on it for 20 years, they've been to counseling, they've done blah, blah, blah. They think it's gone, and then here it is sitting on the surface again, and they will be in denial about it. And often this is true also if there's a lot of shame or a lot of guilt around an issue. They will deny it. Oh, that doesn't bother me. Or they really believe that it doesn't bother them. Um, but you can tell just from your knowledge of, how to find core issues or what the issue is or your own experience in the field or from the signals that they're giving you. Um, you know that there's probably something going on. So what you can do is give them sort of an out. And you give them an out by using time frames. So you would go to the past and you would say, even though I really used to be upset about this when I was 12, I deeply and completely accept myself, you know. Um, and then you can go back and check the results in that time and then come forward again in time again if it makes sense to do so. But experiment with the time frames. Then the next thing is internal conflicts. This is particularly helpful if you're dealing with people who are all over the place. They just they have a million different issues going on, and everything is contradictory. So you can help them by actually addressing the seemingly irreconcilable issues. This is particularly helpful with addictions, I find. So, for instance, I want to quit smoking because I feel better, but I know um, uh, I need my cigarettes to feel better. So I'll feel better because I'll quit smoking, but I need my cigarettes to feel better, and it seems irreconcilable. So you can link the two issues together, and you can say, for instance, even though I feel better even though I'll feel better when I quit smoking, I need the cigarettes to feel better now. I deeply and completely accept myself. And then they get to sort of correlate the two things in their own mind and do this little debate inside their own head while they're tapping. Okay, I think that is all that we're going to talk about on this for today.